Autobots, transform and roll out. That's right, folks. It's the last podcast of the month, and that means it's time for another fantasy character build out. And all us 80 kids are going to absolutely love this one because on this episode of Dragons and Dice, I'm bringing Optimus Prime to our D&D tables. Let's check him out. Welcome to Dragons and Dice. So as a young kid growing up in the 80s, I absolutely loved the Transformers. I mean, between them, Thundercats, X-Men, my Saturday mornings, throw in a little bit of G.I. Joes and some Frosted Flakes, and the hours from 8 to 11 were booked for basically every Saturday morning. And after that, it was go ride your bike and pretend to be one of those awesome characters. I don't guess much has changed nowadays because I spend 4+ hours a week pretending to be someone else at the D&D table. And I thought, oh man, how much fun would it be for fantasy character build out to bring Optimus Prime, one of my all-time favorite cartoon characters and the leader of the Autobots, to our D&D table. Let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the background here. And I'm going to be doing a custom background because there isn't really one that fits for him. But we're going to start off with a +2 strength and a +1 charisma for that. We're going to get 2 skills and 2 tools. And for those, I want to grab up history and arcana, because before he was Optimus Prime, he was a data clerk known as Orion Pax. And those are some skills that like a data clerk would have, and that kind of gives you a little homage back to his source before the big war and before he became a Prime again. And then for our 2 tool proficiencies, one has to be land vehicles. That's just like a no-brainer to me. And then for the other one, I think I'm going to take Tinker's tools because Optimus can literally turn his hand into all kinds of tools and gadgets as he needs. But for origin feat, and the reason I want to do a custom background is there's nothing that gives out strength and charisma and then the magic initiate wizard, which is what we really need because it's going to let us fill out the flavor. So Optimus's trailer that works as a command deck has a lot of different abilities. It works as a communication hub for the Autobots. It's where he stores a ton of extra weapons. It actually has a big ion cannon that can fire out a big blast if need be. And then it also has a little scout buggy called Roller. And this is something that Optimus can see through and use it to explore areas, scout things out, sneak in behind enemy lines. And what better way to show that than to have the Find Familiar spell? And so my flavor on this is that familiar is going to be like a small robot car. I would just use a Weasel stat block for this. It has all the mechanical purposes since it gets decent stealth and perception, and it can't fly. And that's going to fit the bill for our little roller buddy that is in our command deck. And then for the 2 cantrips that we get, I want to take Mending as it's a good way to fix mechanical things, which is how we're flavoring us and our roller and our command deck. And then I also want the Message cantrip because the command deck serves as a source of communication for all the Autobots, and this is going to let us communicate. And we get all these nice things from just that one magic initiative feat. And for our species, we're a robot, and I'm thinking Warforged is going to be the obvious choice here. It gives us the constructed resilience feature that lets us have advantage on resistance against poison. We don't have to eat or drink, although we will need an oil change every 5,000 miles. We are immune to disease. We don't need to sleep, and magic can't put us to sleep. I like all this, but what it also gives us is a +1 bonus to AC, and that's going to be really nice because Optimus is really tanky and he can take a beating if he needs to. We also get another skill and a tool proficiency. I would grab up Insight and Smith's tools as we're going to be in plate armor and we're made of metal. Smith tools seems like an obvious choice. And then being Warforged, we get to start off with 30 speed. Now for our skill points, I'm going with a point buy method for this one. As we do on a lot of these builds, we kind of need to end up pretty flat. And I'm going to do a 14 strength +2, a 13 dex, a 14 con, 10 intelligence, and 10 wisdom, and then 12 charisma +1 for a 13. And this is going to let us bounce around to all the places we want to be class-wise. And as close as I think we can get to the Optimus Prime feel is I do hate wisdom being such a low as that stat mechanically. It stinks to have no bonus to wisdom saves. But let's face it, Megatron deceives us a bunch, and there's plenty of times throughout the series that we end up getting tricked and, kind of represents a little bit of a low wisdom stat. Now, for the class, And my goal for this build is to do a pally start to get the save proficiencies that work best, then hop on, do a good bit of fighter, grab up a little bit of gunslinger for all those ridiculous goodies that they get in the first couple levels that'll really fill out our abilities with our rifle, and then we'll go from there. But as I said, let's kick off our career as a paladin, which just feels so on point for Optimus Prime. I mean, if you got to pick a character that was just like a paragon of justice and a lawfully good personality, he's going to tick all those boxes just like paladins do. The trope of a pally is that it's the lawful good, like stand-up person. And I think Optimus really embodies that, and that's kind of why I wanted to give a good paladin feel to him. So at level 1 with Paladin, we get Wisdom and Charisma saving throw proficiencies, which makes our stat allocation feel a lot better. I'm taking Athletics and Intimidation for our 2 skills. Both feel really on point as we are terrifying to the Decepticons, and we are also super strong in Athletic. They talk about how much weight he can move and pull and all the things he can do in the cartoons. He's very athletic. We also, being Paladin, we get Lay on Hands. And I really like this because one of the other things that Optimus can do is he can kind of self-heal and regenerate through his matrix of leadership that he has in his chest. And this gives us that good feeling as now we can just, we can heal ourselves a little bit, but not like a crazy massive heal because he's not really a healer, but he does regenerate. And then we get 2 weapon masteries, and those are going to be a laser rifle and a battle axe. And these are going to be our ion blaster, the big 2-handed rifle that we keep on our back, and our Energon axe that we summon from our hand. And we get 2 spells here, and for the 2 starting off spells, I'm going to take the Perforating Shot from the Gunslinger ability, and then I want to Smite, since I know it's going to be a level 20 build, and that we will be getting a Paladin subclass at some point. I don't want to take Divine Smite because we're going to get that for free, so I'm going to grab up Searing Smite so that it's like when you get hit with this Energon axe, the energy of it has like left a burning wound on you, and that way we don't waste a spell slot later. At level 2 though, let's hop over to Fighter for 5 levels until we get extra attack. And so at Fighter 1 we get a fighting style, and as Optimus is very tanky, I'm starting off our first fighting style with defensive for the extra AC, and this plus us being a Warforged will give us 20 AC as soon as we get plate armor. And if we want to be kind of like the Age of Extinction Optimus Prime, we can even grab up a shield, and then we'd have 22 AC just in base plate and base shield. And then we get 3 more weapon masteries here. And so I'm going to grab up a long sword, a great sword, as he uses versions of both of those throughout the cartoons and the movies. And then for the last one, I'm going to grab a cannon, and so that if we wanted to do like a big blast, like we were saying, we wanted to shoot our ion cannon off of our command deck, that we have the cannon ability to do a big shot. At level 3, we're going to be a Fighter 2. We get, those goodies, Action Surge and Tactical Mind. And then at level 4, we will be a Fighter 3, and we get our subclass, and Optimus Prime is going to be a battle master. He is a general on the field, and I feel like that just personifies that so well. We get another pride of proficiency when we take battle master. I'm going to grab up perception, as that's always a great skill to have in and out of combat. And then for the tools, we get another tool proficiency here. I'm going to grab up painter supplies so that if we get dinged up, we can lay down a fresh coat on our old Freightliner, COE semi-truck body after we finish up a fight, and that way we're always looking tight in our blue and red. And then we get 3 maneuvers right here, and for those, I'm going to take Commander Strike, and this is going to be so that we can let another Autobot take a turn in our place on our turn. When we use one of our attacks, we can give it away. I'm going to get the Goading attack, and that's going to be a soft taunt. And then I'm going to get Tactical Assessment, and so that when we do a history and investigation or insight checks, we can roll a superiority die and add to that check. And I kind of like this one is to fill up some of the holes in our stats, because Optimus is really smart, but to make the build kind of show his combat prowess, we need a little bit of other help from places like this so that it's reflected in his abilities, but not necessarily in his stats. So now if we need to do an insight check, we can add a superiority die to it, and it feels really good. At level 5, we're going to be a Fighter 4. We get another weapon mastery. I would probably grab a halberd or a great axe here, the flavor being that sometimes when he summons his Energon axe, he's got a big one and he uses it to weapon fighting style. And then we get another feat, and there are a lot of these that I want on this build, But the one I want to take right here is Inspiring Leader. We literally have a matrix of leadership embedded in our chest, and it just feels so on point. We get to boost our charisma score by 1 to 14. We also get to give out a motivational speech each time we finish a short or long rest and pick up to 6 Autobots that we're going to give out temporary HP to. And I mean, right now it's just 7 because it's equal to our level plus our charisma mod. But I feel like this is Optimus after, a training session, giving out critiques and criticism to Autobots on their accuracy or how they did in the fight or how they need to protect humans and all the things that he says throughout the series. Now it's a motivational speech, and instead of that being something that brings people down, it gives them extra motivation and extra health to go out and fight those Decepticons. At level 6, we're a Fighter 5. We get our extra attack, and we get our tactical shift. And then at level 7, I want to go ahead and grab that extra feat from Fighter 6. And for this one, I want to grab the Iron Hero feat, not just for the name, for how on point that is, but we get to give either a boost to our dex or strength stat with this. I'm going strength because we're going to try to get that maxed out to show how strong we are. But it also gives us some really cool abilities. We get the ability called Underdog's Resolve, and if we're attacked by a creature that is higher CR than our level, which if you're playing at a big table will happen a lot at D&D, we get an extra 2 to our armor class, and this just feels great for how durable Optimus Prime would be. And then we also get the Vengeful Strike, and we get advantage on all attacks against a creature that have reduced one of our allies to 0 HP since our last turn. So if somebody dies after we go, we have advantage on that next person. And then we get the ability called Heroic Intervention, and this lets us use our reaction to stop a legendary action from a monster. It's basically counterspell with no save. So if Starscream tries to hit us with that charged up Null Ray as a legendary action, we can just say no and stop it. And I think it's just really on point and really cool for like the tanky protective feel that Optimus has on the battlefield, because he's always looking out for everyone. Level 8, I think it's time that we figure out a way to get our command deck trailer, and that's going to allow us to do that. I want to take some more Pally levels, and I really hate doubling up on extra attack, but we're going to go all the way up to Paladin 5 here. It's just necessary evil. So let's get 4 more levels of Paladin. So at level 8, we'll be a Pally 2, and we get Divine Smite, and we get another fighting style. And I think for the first time ever, I want to use the unique fighting style to Paladins called Blessed Warrior. And this lets us add 2 Cleric cantrips, and I'm going to take Guidance for one of those, as it's a way for us to increase our motivation and our general abilities to, out of combat, help out our Autobots in doing the things around town. And then for the other one, I want Thaumaturgy. That way we can have that awesome Peter Cullen voice when we need it. And then we also get another spell slot here. I'm going to grab Protection from Evil and Good as some more good utility protection. And my theory on this build is to have Optimus be like a frontline tank that does pretty good damage and then supports his fellow Autobots from the front of the battle. And being a battle master, he's going to be able to do a lot of that with his superiority die. At level 9, we're a Pally 3, and we're getting our Pally subclass, and we get Divine Sense, and then we get another spell. For the subclass, I want to go Oath of Glory, and this gives us that unique smite that lets us give out temporary hit points. It's 2d8 plus our Paladin level, which is 3 right now, and then we can split those up however we choose on creatures that are within 30 feet of us. And then we get Oath of Glory spell lists here that gives us Guiding Bolt, and I would probably flavor that, since we don't really cast spells as Optimus Prime, I'd probably flavor that as like a rifle shot, and it's made to target the target's vitals so that we have advantage on later hits. And then we get Heroism, and that just fits in with our build goals of being tanky support, frontline damager, and giving out bonuses to other people. And then the other special thing that we get is we get to become the Peerless Athlete, and now we can use one of our channel divinities to give ourselves advantage on athletics and acrobatics check for an hour. And plus we can jump farther, and this just plays right into how physically dominant Optimus can be and how athletic he is. And then for our last spell slot, I'd probably grab up Command, as we can tell the lesser Decepticons to lay down their arms and flee. Something simple like that, because like I said, we're not really a spellcaster. Level 10, we're going to be a Paladin 4, and we get another feat, and we're going to grab up a half strength feat to get up to 18. And even though it's not quite as good as it used to be in the old material, I think for the flavor of it, Sentinel feels really on point for Optimus Prime, as in if someone beside us gets hit, we're able to like intercede and lock that person down. And then I'm also, for the spell that we get here, I'm going to grab us Divine Flavor. It doesn't take concentration, and we're using energy weapons, which look very radiant, and so the extra D4 radiant damage fits right in with the feel of what our weapons do. Now at a level 11, we're going to be Paladin 5. We get extra attack again. I know, boo, we doubled up on it. We do get a second level spell slot here. We also get Enhance Ability and Magic Weapon from our Oath spell list. And for the other one, I'm going to grab that Shining Smite. It'll work really similar to our Guiding Bolt, as when we attack with it, we can now use that Shining Smite and get advantage on the subsequent attacks after that if we hit with it. But the whole reason we ended up doubling up on extra attack is we need that freaking trailer. And the way I'm going to flavor this is that we're going to use our Fine Steed that we get from Paladin 5 as a trailer. And so when we're riding it, we're going to be the semi-truck, and it follows behind us, and it's going to carry our familiar roller. And for flavor, I would put my extra weapons on the steed, and then mechanically, I would just play it like it was a war horse. But for the flavor, I would only summon the celestial version of the summon steed from the Paladin spell list, because Autobots are from Cybertron, and I would classify them as being from the cosmos and therefore celestial. But that's just my take. Now that we've kind of got our command deck taken care of, we're really not very good with our rifle, and I want to kind of fix that. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do a little gunslinger dip. And this is going to give us a bunch of really nice things with just a couple level dip. The first level gunslinger, we get advantage on initiative rolls, which is great because we're trying to be tanky and we want to get into the fray as soon as possible. And then we get another fighting style. And now our fighting styles also apply to ranged weapons, which is really nice, although the ones we have don't really factor in because we got defensive and blessed warrior. But with this one, I'm going to take archery, since our to hit with our rifle right now is just +5, and that'll give us another +2 to our hit with ranged weapons. And then we also get 2 more weapon masteries. We don't really need these at this point. We kind of have everything that Optimus can use, so you pick anything you want with that, or just forego them. And then at level 13, I want to grab up 1 more level of gunslinger, because now we get risk die, and we're going to get 4 of these, and they're D8s. And then we can use those along with our Battle Master abilities, and now we have a lot of flexibility on the battlefield. I mean, we can do risk maneuvers, and we can do our Battle Master maneuvers. Some of those won't even step on each other, like action economy wise. And then also with this dip, we now crit on a 19, which is always nice, extra 5% to crit. Who doesn't love that? But level 14, I think it's time we go back to fighter for a good little bit. And we're going to get all those fighter goodies to really fill out. We have most of Optimus's kit, from the starting off fighter Battle Master, the paladin spells and abilities that we got from that, and then the gunslinger's kind of fixed our ranged attacks. And I think the best thing we can do to fill out what all Optimus can do is stick with some fighters. So level 14, we're going to be a fighter 7. We get 2 more maneuvers. I'm going to grab the maneuvering attack. It's extra damage, and it plays right into our battlefield general rule feel that we're going for, as we can now move people around without giving up opportunity attacks. And then I want to grab up parry so that we've got some personal protection. We have really good armor class. We're at 22 with a shield, 20 without, and that's just in base gear, no plus anythings. So that gives us a chance to add that superiority die to the parry roll. And then we also get that really cool Battle Master ability called Know Your Enemy, and this tells us immunities, resistance, vulnerabilities, and what they are. And I will flavor this as like one of the things the Transformers can do is they scan things when they come to a new planet, and that way they can change into them. So this is like Optimus is like trans-scanning an enemy, and it gives him a bunch of information about them. At level 15, we're Fighter 8. We're going to get another feat, and we've got an 18th strength set, and so it feels like time to max that out. We'll put 2 points into strength. Level 16, we're going to be a Fighter 9. And we get Tactical Master, and that lets us pick Push, Sap, or Slow as an alternative to whatever weapon mastery we have on. We can just swap those out willy-nilly as we feel like it. And then we get that amazing Indomitable feat, and that lets us 2 times per day reroll a failed save and add our fighter level, which is 9 right now, to that roll. So save with advantage at +9. That sounds really good. You shouldn't fail too many times using Indomitable. And the great thing about it, if you fail when you use it, it doesn't even burn up a use of it. At level 17, we're going to be a Fighter 10. We get another weapon mastery, and we don't really need those anymore. But we do get our superiority dice go up to a D10, and we get 2 more Battle Master maneuvers. And here, I think I would grab up Precision Attack so that if we really need to hit, we can turn a miss into a hit. And I would probably grab Riposte, as it is going to let us make a counterattack. And since we have such a good armor class, there's a good chance we're going to get missed a lot, and Riposte is a really good ability with that. I like the Precision Attack because if we were like wanting to be ranged and our to hit isn't as good as it is with our melee weapons, we could use that. We could throw on a Shining Smite with it, and then we would have advantage on the rest attacks. So it gives us a way to generate advantage for ourselves and ensure that we hit. At level 18, we are a Fighter 11 and triple attack. I mean, enough said, it's always great. 2 attacks is awesome, 3 attacks is even better. And then at level 19, we're a Fighter 12, and we're going to get Epic Boon. And for the tanky feel that we're going for, I want to take the Boon of Fortitude. This is going to give us +1 to 1 stat. I'm going to put that into Dex. It's been sitting at 13 for 19 levels now, which is, I know, slightly sad. But it gets us another +1 to that, which will help our ranged attacks. And then we also get 40 HP. And then each turn, we can, if we gain hit points on that turn, we can add our con mod to the healing, which sadly is only +2, but it's not nothing. And then for level 20, there's not really a lot left for us in Fighter, but if we go back to 1 level of Paladin, for Pally 6, it's going to be our most bang for the buck, as we're going to get that awesome Paladin aura, and it plays so well with our Optimus feel on the battlefield that we're just so good at protecting people that we protect them from saves just by being close to us. If I was playing out in game, I might grab Pally 6 before I went Gunslinger so that we had the aura for the majority of our career. But like I said, it's a 20 level build. But that's going to give us +2 to saving throws because our charisma is 14. And so that feels pretty good. Like, nice little cap off to the build. So a few closing thoughts and breakdown of our Optimus Prime build. We're going to be a Fighter 12, Paladin 6, Gunslinger 2. And we'll just in base armor have 22 AC, 202 HP. And we have multiple ways of giving out a bunch of temp HP to help protect our fellow Autobots. We have a lot of support spells from the Paladin levels that we took. And then we have 5 D10 superiority dice to do our Battle Master maneuvers. Plus we have 4 D8 risk die to do our Gunslinger maneuvers. And proficiency times per day, we can just stop legendary actions. Plus we have a cool Sentinel feat if somebody attacks someone that's close to us. And there's just a lot of ways for us to really be a tanky person out in the middle of the battlefield that's making everyone else around us better. And when we get to attack, I mean, there's going to be a plethora of weapons for us to choose from. We have pretty good to hit on all of them, +11 on our melee and +10 on our range, which pretty standard at level 20. And then we can also use our Shining Smites to give ourselves advantage for the rest of attacks. We have 3 attacks each round. We got our Action Surge. So, I mean, if we really want to, we can go Nova and we can do that from range, or we can do that up there melee. If we go with our rifle, we can make our first attack, do a precision strike on it, throw a Shining Smite on it, and then we have 5 other attacks with our Action Surge, each of them doing 3d8 for 18d8 on the first round of combat. And if we want to go melee, we can get in there and do 6 attacks with our axe, and those all have a +5 to each one that hits, and we also have that smite to throw on. It's just got a really good feel for all the things that Optimus can do. We're just making people better and safer, and we're doing good damage, and it's just really nice, like, fun build. You got a lot of stuff to do in combat because you're really taking on that, like, leader of the Autobots and the field general out on the battlefield with all the maneuvers that we have and the special abilities that we have from our feats. Well, folks, that's it for this episode of Dragons and Dice. I hope you all enjoyed my build out of Optimus Prime. He's one of my all-time favorite characters, and oh man, the nostalgia this pulls up from my childhood. All you 80s kids out there, I'm sure, feel the exact same way. And Just thank y'all so much for tuning in and listen. If you like what the show's doing, please tell a friend about us. Leave a like, a follow, and a comment, as all those things help with popularity of the show. And until next time, may your DMs be kind, may your D20s roll high. Bye.